Today's faith moment. Maybe it could be subtitled Lessons from the Kitchen. These, we all know what these are, right? A knife, a fork, a big spoon, and a little spoon. But did you know that these things could represent faith issues, and even gifts? Consider for a moment. To somebody who uses chopsticks, this doesn't mean anything. I'm not saying that people who use chopsticks don't know what forks are. But I'm saying that there was a day when chopsticks and silverware were not even in the same room together. We grew as a people learning how to develop tools that we needed to get the job done. God grew His church tools to get the job done. Now, you have to consider for a moment that a knife can do certain things which a little miniature spoon cannot, which a fork might do a little bit better, but would certainly do worse than the spoon. This works very well for soup. This has a harder time with it. You can eat soup with it, but it's a little bit harder. This will stir a small cup of coffee, whereas this might not even make it in the cup. And it is true that you can cut your butter with a knife, or a fork, or a spoon, but it's much easier to spread with the knife. Consider every truth that you've ever been given, every scripture you've ever read, and consider what its purpose is. Is it just a nice idea? Is it just something, silverware in the drawer that we just kind of leave sitting there? Do we like it because it's got really pretty handles on it? And we just go, oh, those are cool. Hey, that was a cool truth. I like that truth. That was a cool truth. Never looking at the other end of the utensil to determine what its purpose was. Every scripture, every truth, every doctrine, everything we learn from God has its value and its purpose. Even as we were created to do different administrations and gifts and purposes. So our faith is not only in the Word, it's in how the Word works. There are certain verses that will get you healings faster than other verses. Because if you stand on a verse for healing, but you really should be standing on a verse for spiritual warfare, you're going to get a wrong result. And if you consider that, it is possible to stand on a salvation verse, maybe, that has some point to it, when really what you need to be doing is partaking rather deeply of that understanding, you have things to learn. So your faith lesson of the morning is very simply this. Number one, when you look in the mirror, try to determine what kind of utensil you are in the Lord's hand. Mm-hmm. Try to get in groove with what He's using you for. Be careful, He will switch the gifts on you. And yesterday you got to be a fork because we needed to pick something up. But today you got to be a spoon, far more gentle, far more understanding with that soul, far more understanding in what you're doing. There will come a day when you will always find that you probably use all your utensils. Even so, you'll always use all your scriptures. But, today you're hungry for soup. So, go find your verses that deal with soup. And have soup. And let that be your tool for the day. And when the Lord comes down and taps you on the shoulder and says, I need you to be a knife. I got some creatures to cut off of people. Then be a knife. And be a good knife. And let Him use you effectively. That would be you exercising your faith in Him to use you. And you exercising a little bit of faith in you to know what you're being used as. And then you go use the Word the same way. What do you need out of the Word? Pick out the parts that you need so that you can use it correctly. Faith isn't that hard to understand. It just needs a little bit of visual demonstration now and then.